Hi, I'm singer-songwriter and actor Robert Avayanet, and you're tuning into Deeper Than Music.
Deeper Than Music Radio. Behind every great song is a greater story.
Deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth. It's deeper than music, deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music, deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth. It's deeper than music, deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music, deeper than music.
Deeper than music, behind every great song, there's an even greater story. I like to say what's up to everybody listening to us internationally, listening to us on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and even now you can listen to us on Amazon Alexa. Just say, Alexa, play Deeper Than Music Radio. Deeper Than Music, we like to interview talent from all over the world. As you know, we're hopefully nearing the end of this pandemic, but today we have a special guest all the way from Wales. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Grace Parry here on Deeper Than Music Radio. Grace, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much for having me on.
Not a problem, and thank you for being on the show. I actually did some research, and I understand you're from Wales, and you've learned how to compose music since 5 years old. Is that correct?
Yeah, I started playing the piano. I don't know how good I was. I mean, I was probably terrible, but I started dabbling in music composition when I was about 6. So I started learning the piano from a very young age, yeah.
Wow. And do you come from a musically inclined family? Did they nurture it, or you just say, hey, I want to learn piano and stuff like that and compose music?
Well, like years ago, my dad had a piano from my auntie. And I think he made a bet with my mum that he could learn to play, and then that didn't end up happening. But my parents were always very supportive of my music. But yeah, nobody's really musically inclined. I mean, my brother can sing a little bit, but he doesn't tend to sing in public. So yeah, it's just been me. I've been like the dark horse, I think, the dark horse of the family.
And what do you remember? Like, I know for certain artists, they see another artist and they're like, oh man, I want to, seeing the person perform. What inspired you to become a musician, a musical artist? Was there a person, a moment? Do you remember?
I think from as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a successful singer-songwriter. Mm-hmm. I mean, I used to put on shows Christmas time when I was little in the living room, and we used to hide, me and my sister, behind the Christmas tree. That was like backstage. We used to put on our own little shows in the lounge, but you know, it was just always a dream, really. And I think a lot of personal experience influenced me to start songwriting. Mm-hmm. And then if I could name a person that influenced me, it was actually Lionel Richie.
Oh, wow.
I always
okay.
Yeah, I grew up listening to Lionel Richie because my mum always had him on in the car. And she was like, we were always playing him, and to watch him when I was 16 with my mum, my Auntie Dell, Auntie Tina. We all went to watch him, and I remember looking at him, just getting goosebumps and thinking, okay, yeah, this has solidified it for me. This is 100%. I want to be singing in an auditorium with like hundreds of thousands of people singing back your song. That's the dream. Right now I only have about, I don't know, 3 or 4 in the club that know my song, but you got to start somewhere, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. And no, I mean, that makes sense, because he's a musical genius, composer, songwriter. I mean, he's behind a lot of hits, and it's actually funny because my guy was it was Michael Jackson, and then Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson, they made one of the biggest charity songs in the world, "We Are the World." So that's pretty awesome. So with it being the pandemic, and hopefully we're at the world would open up, how did this impact your career, like the pandemic? And I know the UK was one of the first countries to go on lockdown when this all got really bad.
Yeah, so it definitely affected it, because I was out gigging probably like 4 times a week, performing, you know, originals gigs, covers gigs, a mixture of originals and covers. So the lockdown definitely impacted my singing and my career, you know, music-wise, because obviously I wasn't allowed to perform. But in the beginning, I'm going to be completely honest, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this will probably only last 3 weeks. And then, then they extended it, and I said, okay, it's another 3 weeks, we'll be back out there now. And then when I realised that we weren't coming out of lockdown anytime soon, I thought, right, okay, I can't perform, so I can write, you know. So in some ways, it was beneficial to my writing because I had more time to write songs and write music, you know.
Yeah. So
but from a performance point of view, yeah, it was terrible because nobody could perform anymore. I'm shocked now that, you know, things are slowly coming back. So fingers crossed that we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, because I know here in the States, there's a lot of huge celebrities and singers and bands that have announced like they're going to be doing touring here in June this month and actually in July. So we should all hope. And then I was supposed to go to England in January, and my dumb butt pushed it back till March, but I didn't know the pandemic was gonna happen, so I'm still due to come out there. Now I'm like, I will never push anything back again, you know. So Grace, what has been the most rewarding aspect of your career so far? Like, what are the highlights of your music career?
One of the highlights was definitely performing in London Pride. So I entered a competition. I didn't win, not at all. I got in the top 10, but for me, it's a miracle in itself that I even got in the top 10 of anything. So I was like, so yeah, I got to perform for London Pride, and there was about 40,000 people. That's the biggest audience I've ever done. That was a couple of years ago now. So yeah, you know, being given the opportunity to perform on that kind of platform, that was amazing.
Wow, 40,000 people. How did you feel about that?
Oh my God, I was terrified. I had about 5 Disaronno and Cokes before coming on, and I said to my auntie Trish, I'm so scared. And she was like, just have the Disaronnos and pretend you're the biggest diva ever. I was like, I'm not, though, I'm terrified. And I remember I was so scared, and I was coming on in like 8-inch heels, and oh goodness knows. But yeah, it was such a rush. It was amazing. It was cool.
Wow. And we talked about Lionel Richie. What would be your dream collaboration? Like your artist that, like, man, I would love to collaborate with this person.
Do you know what? It's really optimistic. The Weeknd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's like probably my favourite artist at the moment, The Weeknd. I think he's really talented. And do you know what? He always reminds me of Michael Jackson, actually. Funny you said about Michael Jackson earlier.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, there's a good few similarities there on there.
Man. And then what is your creative process? Like, how do you create? Does the music come first, the lyrics? Like, what is your creative process?
So it really depends. So sometimes I found like I'll just sit on the piano and just be playing, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound so good. And then other times I'm like, oh, I love this, but I can't think of any words. You have like a mental block. Yeah. And then sometimes, so it's usually the music first and then the lyrics. But then recently I've been writing more like up-tempo things. I'm trying to steer away from like the sad song and the love song kind of thing. But then I wrote Freedom, which is, you know, my up-and-coming song. So I wrote that with more of a funky style with my producer Lennis. And, you know, with that, it was definitely the music first and then the lyrics. And my latest song, which I've actually written about my partner, that was me and lyrics as well, which is a co-write with my producer. So it really all depends, you know, but I'd say mostly it's the music first.
Okay. So the music first, and then afterwards you create the lyrics and all that stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And I noticed in 2021 you released a few singles, right? Do you have some singles coming out?
Yeah, so I released Real just after Christmas time. Releasing Freedom, so it's available to pre-order from today. So you can type in Grace Parry Freedom on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, and you can pre-order that from today. That actually comes out on the 21st of June, which ironically is the date where we're all meant to be being let out of lockdown.
Yeah.
Then I have another release coming this August, which is called You Get Me, and that was a tribute to my partner Mike. So yeah, so I've done that for him as a special song. So we met last October and we started dating the beginning of December. So I've written him a song. I sang it yesterday, so that's my second song I'll be releasing.
Okay.
And then I'm going to release an EP Christmas time.
Okay. And real. Actually, I know that we have one of your songs that we're gonna play after the interview. For real, could you explain to us the motivation behind the song, or the story behind the song?
So, a lot of the time with songwriting, I find, right, okay, I've got to have inspiration, and it's got to be about something or someone. But then the odd song, I've just thought, oh, okay, I want to write something like this. I want to try this. I want to explore different genres of music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, I went to my producer. I was like, let's write a sexy R&B love song. And he was like, yeah, okay then. So literally, I mean, that was a co-write that we did together. And I wrote it about the fantasy of being madly and deeply in love. And I just thought, okay, what would it be like to feel like this? Because I'd always written sad songs about getting ghosted and, okay, they've left you and this and that. And I thought, no, I'm going to write a song about being madly and deeply in love with somebody and having that chemistry and that bond that's real. Because, you know, up until recently, I'd never actually experienced that. It was just always like, okay, so at the time it was a fantasy, but now it's become a reality. I mean, it's like what you put out to the universe, isn't it? I wrote a love song and then...
Oh, there you go. Yeah. The power of the spoken word.
Love a month later.
Yeah. The power of the spoken word. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that being said, majority of your songs are pretty much autobiographical, like based on your experience, or...
Yeah, I'd say like 90% of the songs I write are based off personal experience, but there have been a couple of which... So my friends, I wrote them their wedding song, which I'm performing in October at their wedding. So I wrote a wedding song for friends of mine. I wrote a song, about last summer. I haven't released it yet. I'm yet to release it. I'm thinking about putting it on the EP, which is the kind of summery vibe. And that wasn't written about anything in particular. It was what kind of worked with the music, and it was just what sprung into my head, you know? So it really depends. It's a mixture of everything, really.
Okay. And being a musical artist or being a indie artist, what would you say has been like the biggest struggle that you ever had, or, you know, something like, man, this is kind of tricky to navigate through?
Yeah, rejection. Honest to God, yeah, it's like I don't think there's been one time that I just haven't been rejected, and I'm still going, and I'm thinking people are either going to think I'm tenacious or desperate, and I don't know yet which one. So yeah, like I've tried a few avenues and talent shows and everything, but I've never seemed to. I've had a few near misses where it's like the dream has been within reaching distance, and then at the drop of a hat is pulled away from you. I've had quite a few of those, but I think the minute you stop or give up, that could have been the moment where it happens for you. So I think you've got to be tenacious and you've got to keep going. Yeah,
you gotta. I think the beautiful thing about with digital stuff and being able to do stuff worldwide, you never know what opportunity is around the corner. You never know who like it's stuff. I get like my reports, and it's like, oh yeah, all these people in Russia have downloaded your stuff, and then every now and then I've had the pleasure of having a song placed on a television. So I applaud you. Yeah, keep going, because you never know. And then I know Mel that got us in contact. She spots good talent. So, and I've heard your music. So don't stop. You mentioned Pride Week.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. You mentioned performing at Pride. Have you ever is there any other career highlights that you've had besides that show and performing in front of 40,000 people?
I've done the Cardiff Pride. I did a Blackpool dance festival. That was a couple of years ago now. I also sang at London Fashion Week, which was really, really cool.
Wow.
And they had some big scouts there from record labels, and an agent arranged for them to come down and watch. And I was like, oh my God. And then they rang me on the Monday and they said, oh, the girl that came on after you? I said, yeah. They said, oh, she got signed. I was like, oh, amazing. But it was it's mad that kind of thing was going on, and I was in amongst it all. But, I think it's like you've got to keep putting yourself out there, isn't it? And live events especially is important, because you can share your music with everyone. But obviously because of the last year, it's been difficult, but hopefully now things will start opening up and we can get back to it.
Yeah, I'm hopeful too, and it sounds like everything is good, is going good. And besides, I got to go back to the UK, the trip that I pushed back. Describe your sound. So for people who haven't heard you, and we're gonna play your song after the interview or closing out of the interview. How would you describe your sound and what you're bringing to music?
That's a very difficult question. How would I describe it? Different and real. I'm going to say real because a lot of it is obviously written from how I'm feeling and real life experiences. Mm-hmm. And I think music's so powerful because you can say exactly what you're feeling or exactly what you want to say. And if you've got a message that you want to put out there and you don't know how to express yourself, spoken, you can put it in a song or you can put it in the music,
Yeah.
And I think if you've got the platform to do that and to spread a message or, write a song for somebody or express yourself in music, then I think you should do that,
Yeah. And I think the best music is music that comes from experience or, music connects us all, human feelings and stuff like that. So, again, thank you for being on the show. And I want to give you my last few questions. My first self-promotion time. Where can people find you on the internet? What do you have planned? I know you mentioned the EP coming out and around Christmas time, but it's self-promotion time. Where can people find you? Internet, social media, all that stuff.
So you can find my music on Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, or Apple Music. Just type in Grace Parry. But for all the updates on where to find up-and-coming singles and releases, you can follow my social media at Grace Parry Music. So that's on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Okay, all right. And you also mentioned some releases are coming out as well, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I've got my latest single. You can pre-order it from today, and that will be coming out on the 21st of June. That's called Freedom. And then I've got my next single coming out in August. That's called You Get Me. I don't know whether to call it my partner's name. It's a bit extreme. Whether to call it my Gwyn or whether to call it You Get Me. I don't know which has more of a ring to it.
Okay. Well,
so right now it remains a mystery is what we're going to call it, but that's a really feel-good summer pop song, so I'm hoping people are going to like that. And then I am releasing another song in October, which is my friend's wedding song, but that's going to go on the EP as well, so that should be released at Christmas time.
Okay. And what does music mean to Grace Parry?
Music means being able to express yourself freely and passionately with no apologies.
Okay. And my last question, when it's all said and done, what do you want your musical legacy to be? How would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as someone that writes music from the heart and can spread a positive message. And I also want to be remembered as someone that doesn't take herself too seriously. You've got to have fun. And my nickname is Gremlin. So I also want to be remembered as a hyperactive gremlin.
Oh, wow. I got to ask this question. Why is your nickname Gremlin?
Honestly, I used to run and jump and throw myself out of a wall and pretend to be a gremlin. And then I got to a certain age and people were like, you've got to stop doing this. This is why you're always getting ghosted. And I was like, I think I was 18, 19, I was drunk at a party. I said, look at this. And I was like, banging at the wall. And the next day I had to text him. He said, I think it's best if we stay friends.
Oh, wow.
I think he was a friend. I thought, yeah.
Oh,
this
wow.
famous line. Should never have pretended to be a gremlin. But it stuck then. And my friends have always called it. And my best friends, they just call me Grem now.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, another great interview with Grace Parry and why they call her Gremlin. And we're going to close out with her song. And again, you guys heard it. And new music coming out and EP coming out on Christmas. And Grace, thank you again for being on Deeper Than Music Radio.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you very much.